Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Kitty here with Atola Visuals, and today we are reviewing the gorgeous Leica Q3. Let's get into it. Leica rarely upgrades cameras, so when they do, you know it's worth taking a look at. First impressions on the build, you already know Leica has one of the best aesthetically and high quality camera designs ever. They are the dream cameras of most camera nerds like myself. You have the classic Leica round shape that's nice and smooth, and this durable, high quality German handmade engineered full metal body. As you can hear it, not plastic and no cheap materials. So this is built to last a long ass time. The body is similar to the Q2, but they did change the placements of the buttons and also added a tilt screen, which is one of the biggest upgrades on this camera. Speaking of upgrades, let's get into the features. For my video people, she shoots up to 8K now, which is insanity, but the 8K and 4K are in crop mode. You will get the full sensor with 1080 and can also shoot on ProRes with 1080. For my photo people, she shoots up to 60 megapixels now. Insanity, but I was mostly shooting on 36, which is the medium, but you could also lower it down all the way to 18 megapixels if you want smaller file sizes. She also got 15 frames per second on burst mode too. We have a new processor. The lens is the same as the Q2, which is a 28mm f1.7. Still gorgeous, still cute, looks great. And also performs really well. The autofocus has now been upgraded. Yes, thank you. We have phase detect now, which a lot of people are saying is coming from their Panasonic cameras because it looks the same. We have L-Log and internal LUTs as well. We have a new processor, new battery, so a whole lot of new upgrades from the previous Q2. Some Q2, Q3 comparisons. There's a lot of differences between the two. One of the biggest is a tilt screen. Who knew Leica would ever put a tilt screen on it? But now we could take some nice low shots and be able to see. The Q2 did have up to 47 megapixels and now we have 60. That is a big jump. We have 8K video as opposed to 4K video on the Q2. The Q2 did have 10 frames per second burst mode, but now we have 15. The weight, it is a little bit heavier, but not by much. Like the Q2, you can push this crop mode and get different focal lengths. So the Q2 had 35, 50, 75, and now this one has 90mm added to it. The Q2 didn't have HDMI, but now we have a little macro HDMI in here. And the biggest similarity is that they use the same lens. So obviously, who's this camera for? It's for me, I already know. People who definitely appreciate Leica and the Leica brand, the Leica image quality, the colors, so juicy. The status of Leica too. Anyone who's looking for cropping in photos, because this does shoot 60 megapixels, you can really get in there. Maybe you're a hybrid shooter that shoots both video and photos and you're looking for a really good everyday carry. I had it with me around my neck all my trips that I was going on. And lastly, anyone who could afford this, because it's going around $6,000. Yes, appreciate Leica and all it's worth. Also, these cameras do not depreciate. They never pretty much go on sale is what I've seen. So it's definitely a high quality luxury camera. Is a Leica with Leica glass. You have the whole shebang. You have the Leica colors. I was shooting mostly in neutral for my video and standard for my photos. So check out the footage and tell me what you think. I've always loved the Leica look. I don't know what it is. It's the sharpness, it's the contrast, it's the way like reds and blues look. It's the skin tones just look so like, They make me look flawless. Like, I feel like a model when I see my Leica shots. Like, damn. Even if you're doing some color grading, it makes it really easy to color grade. And you only have to do minimal edits with the images. You know, some of us want to save some money and hopefully get a Leica in the future, and we just try to make those color presets on the cameras that we actually have. But yeah, it still doesn't hit the same. I'll tell you that much. I've tried. I've really tried. Yes, they did upgrade the autofocus from the previous Q2, but I feel like a lot of us are just used to that snappy Sony autofocus, so we're just gonna compare literally every camera to that, which is kind of unfair. But you're not getting a Leica for the autofocus, I'll tell you that much. And I did test the phase detect and also zone, which is something I normally use for autofocus, on video mode, and it was struggling a bit, which is unfortunate. For photos, autofocus single works really well. Obviously, that doesn't struggle at all. It's just the video mode when people are walking to and from camera. But when they're like walking parallel with the camera, it's okay. It does struggle here and there, so that's something to note. Don't be thinking like, oh, I'm gonna nail this focus on this fast moving thing in video mode, because it'll probably struggle with that. The focus dial, for some reason I was struggling with it, because when you're in autofocus, it kind of locks up here and you have to push this button to get into manual. So if you're trying to do that, sometimes it takes a little bit extra time to nail focus. So if you're trying to grab something that you can't do 2 takes of, be really fast, practice with the camera on manual mode. There is one lens, is a fixed lens, 28, 1.7, same lens on the Q2 like I mentioned earlier. It's super compact. And there's also this macro switch on the top too. The minimum focusing distance when it's in normal mode is 11.8 inches or 30 centimeters. And then on macro mode, it is 6.7 inches or 17 centimeters. That sounds pretty close, but honestly, I would want it a little bit closer for macro mode especially, because I felt like I just want to get in like 2 inches, but you know, I'm being picky again. Leica glass has always been on my bucket list, and they are ones to not fuck around when it comes to lenses. Battery life, they did upgrade the battery on this one, and it is compatible with the previous Q2. So if you have extra batteries or you're upgrading from the Q2, you can now use it with this camera. However, if you are shooting with 8K, you will be needing to use the newer batteries with this. I found that I was still struggling with the battery life, so when we were changing locations or driving around, I was charging it via USB-C, which was super helpful, so thanks for upgrading that on this camera. But you will probably need 2, maybe 3 batteries. Personal quirks for me, as I was shooting on this camera, these are just things I noticed. There is this dial here for ISO where you have to push it and then scroll to change ISO. However, I noticed that I was actually a lot faster when I'd push this button and then use the touchscreen to scroll to the different ISOs. It was a lot faster and quicker, and I don't know, just this dial kind of too flush with the camera, so it doesn't really catch with my thumb as well as I thought it would. The flip screen is nice, however, it's like so high quality that it's like snug in there, and I was struggling a little bit try to like pull it out, like even now. I don't know if it's new and it'll loosen up later in the future after you use it for some time, but that's something to note too. However, when I was shooting video and I wanted to crop in, I'd push this button to crop in, but then it would automatically change to photo mode for some reason. So then I'd have to click the video button again and change it back. So just like a little extra step that I wasn't really fun seeing. And just in general, when I was in Vegas, I was like inside hotels and then I'd be outside. I was shooting video and photo at the same time, but I just wish there was a way to set the settings to be the same on photo and video mode, because when I'd be on video mode and I want to take a photo, then it'd be like super blown out because it'd be all set up from the indoor shoot. Maybe there's a setting like that. Let me know in the comments below if there's an easy way to change that. So I was watching a couple other reviews on this camera and people were struggling with the ergonomics here. You can buy a thumb grip to attach because they were struggling with this one, but I kind of felt okay. I mean, it is a little bit awkward, but when I think about it, it's completely fine. There's a nice grip on the front, and there isn't like that huge, like chunky battery grip that we're used to on other cameras. It's like easy to hold like this. The pros of a Leica. Well, for one, I was wearing it constantly. It's heavier than most EDCs because it is made out of full metal, but it is still relatively light. And especially when you have a neck strap like this, I was carrying it with me everywhere all day, just on me. I didn't want to put it away in my camera bag or anything because I wanted it readily available to take photos. Not only that, it's a Leica, so of course I want to like flex a little bit, you know, not that anyone noticed or anything. Because I had it around my neck the whole time, I was constantly shooting, which is the whole point of having a camera in the first place, right? You want to have fun with it, you want to shoot on it constantly. And for me, I overshoot. So there's like probably 50% of the footage that's not great, or photos that are like not composed well, and I take like a bunch of different shots and I use up a bunch of cards filming with this. I think over the past week and a half, I used 9 SD cards over the course of our Vegas trip, LA trip, and just like shooting random events here and there. Other things to note, not that it's a big deal, but if you're used to the Leica M11, for instance, that had internal memory, which was actually nice, but this one does not. I don't think we're expecting internal memory for all cameras, but it would be a little bit nice if you just forget your SD card by accident and you have backup. It doesn't have a mic jack or headphone port, but they did say that they're gonna have a USB-C dongle in the future. I did test it with the dongles that I have for my Fujifilm and Google phone, but I guess it's gonna be a proprietary thing. If you put a quick plate on the bottom of the camera, you will not be able to access the SD card slot, unfortunately, if you need to change cards. There was another review that mentioned that rolling shutter is pretty bad, especially on electric shutter, so that is another thing to note, so don't be like all crazy with this camera. And lastly, because it's a Leica, it does kind of bring me unnecessary anxiety. Let me explain. Like if I'm eating at a restaurant or I need to go to the bathroom, I need to put my camera down, I'm always worried like I have to tell someone like watch the camera. Not that I wouldn't say that about any other camera, it's just like especially Leicas. I didn't have the lens cap with me either, so I just had the lens hood, so I was like extra careful not ruining the lens. Did I have a lot of fun shooting and filming with this? Of course, yes. Did I have fun with my cousins running around Vegas and LA and capturing all the iconic places with this camera? Yes, I loved it. I'm gonna go through all my footage and see like what prints I can print because I have no art on these walls and I want to test that printable Leica image quality. Is this a great everyday carry? Yeah. Is it a good hybrid shooter camera? Yes. You got photos and videos on this. Do I wish it had certain things? Yes, of course, but that's like every type of camera that I've ever bought. It's missing something and I'm very picky. If I can just create my own camera, have unlimited budget, and still make it affordable for everyone to buy, you bet your ass I would work on that. I'm gonna have a whole separate video on my creative process on how I shot with this camera and my compositions and what I thought of it and how I positioned my cousins to pose because they were my models for me for the week. And I'm also gonna do like a cinematic vlog, whatever you call it, video that's gonna come out soon. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and stay tuned for those videos. I will see you soon. You do you, fam. Done. Bye.